happens next with Paige has changed. And,
yes,
there's a face turn coming. And that story starts now and not in months and months' time. And I can understand the frustrations with, his heel turn and that heel run not reaching where we want it to. That's been one of our main frustrations.
Yep.
But, you're now limited. You knew that when you made the decisions that you made in the fall. And now you need to do something different. So they are going to turn him face. And I think it's very clear from TV that someone he's going to interact with very much in the near future is MJF. Now, we had very, very different reactions to this.
Yes, we did.
And this is a rarity, and kind of inspired by Wade Keller and Todd Martin's kind of excellent debate that somehow ended in flossing and complete silence on heels on the fix last week, which I recommend to everyone. Week before last, I recommend to everyone because that was it was a really good thing. We thought we'd kind of talk about this without having any notes shared with each other. So
we've tried not to discuss the topic with each other at all because we want to wait for this episode.
Because you feel so different to me. So I want you to tell me, what was your initial reaction when you worked out this was coming?
Oh no. Oh no, that was my initial reaction. Oh no, that I was not enthusiastic. I was sort of struck with the inexorable sense of immediate incoming dread, I guess would be the way to describe it. What was your reaction when you heard about this, Trish?
I was like, they need to do this. So my reaction is driven by a number of things. One point is Max doing something with Jeff Jarrett for the rest of the year. Come on, lad, have some pride in yourself. Right? Like, are you seriously going to do this for the rest of the year? It's proper, like, protective, we're on the downside of a cycle.
Yep.
Wrestling behavior that, where we protect ourselves and we don't work together with other people that might challenge us. That's exactly what it is now. It's like, you need to have, so you do this, right, you need to have some pride in yourself, so good. And actually, my starting point for this is, I can't think of two guys that need each other more right now in some ways. So I know you could probably think of, you're probably going to come up with like 10 names that you think would be better to work with Paige right now, but for me, it's like the one thing that Paige needs more than anything is time.
I agree.
Big spots and time. Yeah, he doesn't get them. It's not a secret. He doesn't get live promos. Has he had a live promo this year, actually? No, he's not. No, he's not. No, that's not a surprise.
Jeff Jarrett's had so many, we can't make the time. So
we no time for Hangman. So he needs a live microphone in his hand, and especially once he becomes a babyface. I don't think there's anyone better in that company at that sell promo, that talk you into the building babyface promo. If you're going to argue the John Moxley backstage comments, fine. But in terms of the live microphone, you think of that one that we mentioned earlier in Toronto, that basically sold a ton of tickets the next week for Cincinnati, which they couldn't replicate this year. So it tells you something. Or the one he gave in Miami, before he had the Kenny Omega match at Full Gear. Or, and it's the one that he gave, when he came back this year, that never even made TV. Or the one he gave with the house, which is so difficult to do that all kind of in one take. Is just, he's so good at those kind of money promos, and he'll do that so well as a babyface if you give him the time. And the only way he's going to get that time is to work with someone like Max.
So I think we start from the same place, right? You said it's MJF needs this, like, have some pride, you're working with Jeff Jarrett. My reaction is MJF, Hangman doesn't need this. MJF is working with fucking Jeff Jarrett, right? Like, that to me, like, I just feel like, and again, this is an argument I am saying, these are my deepest, darkest fears. These are not my hopes and dreams, okay? This is another segment in which if Sarah is wrong, she will be thrilled. I will be the happiest girl in the world to come back here and be like, oh my God, Trish was right. Trish was so right. I was an idiot. Thank God, right? I agree with you. Hangman needs mic time. He's not going to get this working with other people. Maybe a Copeland, maybe somebody else. But,
Jesus.
Yeah, okay. Like, I could give you names. You're not going to like them, Trish. I just am concerned that you have to be willing to work with someone to come up with true magic, right? We talk about the spirit of cooperation that exists in your best wrestling feuds. I am concerned that MJF does not have that spirit of cooperation, and that the feud that will come out will be tilted towards MJF in such a way that, it won't make Hangman look MJF's equal, let alone as good as. And it will be a lot of positioning and jockeying and making sure that we're protected, rather than like, hey, here's the actual places we could go with something like this. Here's where I could push myself as a performer and try something completely different. I mean, let me ask you this, right? So based on Dynamite, it does, and based on MJF's tweets, it does seem like the basis for the feud is going to be no matter what you do, they still love you, right? Does that inspire you and fill you with excitement in terms of a subject matter for a feud between these two?
I don't know, and a lot of that's going to depend on what Paige does with things, because
Agreed.
He kind of he won't respond in a traditional way. So yeah, you have a point. So if you look at the Will Ospreay feud last year,
right?
That went straight into MJF territory with the rah-rah flag stuff that felt really out of place in that election season. And then, we'll have to be like, I really like the flag, but oh my God. Right. And then
that was not set up to make Will Ospreay look good.
No. And then they did, the very overindulgent match, which, it'll vary what you think about that match, but it very much felt like, this is out there just to kind of get the plaudits sort of thing.
Yep.
And
I'm just as good a wrestler as everybody else.
And then the promos that were kind of interfering on other people's promo material for bigger programs, which is, that's not a secret anymore. So, yeah, he has these tendencies, but how many times has he been working with someone that, will challenge him on the same level? He isn't going to be able to bully Paige. He's not. I don't see it in the way that, or make sure that he gets everything out of it in the way that he did
who's
with
producing
Jay
who's
White.
producing these segments, Trish, right? So who's producing these segments? Who's making the final call, right? MJF and Hangman have a disagreement about how they want something to go. Who's making the final call? You think it's going Hangman's way? Like if like that's the stuff that makes me nervous, right?
Sure.
Are we? Yeah. We're not. The company as a whole would rather make Tony Khan would rather make MJF look good than somebody like Hangman, right? He's got his guy. Okay. So, that for me is like, that's part of my concern. Okay. Right? Is there a support system in place if MJF decides to put his foot down?
Yeah. Okay. But you've got to play to his ego in a little bit. Do you think that he enjoys the fact that he's probably winning worst feud of the year again in the Observer Awards this week?
I'm confident.
The only thing that might be that is the Death Riders, as Dave said the other. I can't believe he picked the Death Riders. But
I can't believe he wrote that, actually.
I know. It was hilarious.
I am confident that a giant chunk of the reason why MJF has suddenly decided to pivot and do this feud is because he didn't like the fact that he was being mocked for doing a Jeff Jarrett feud in the year 2025, right? Like, I think he even used the words in the year 2025 in his promo this past week. Okay. So I think the man has his ear to the ground and is aware that,
Okay, right. So, Max, right?
Right? Jesus Christ.
Right? You've got to feed into his ego, okay? So he doesn't want to be in that worst feud. He loves praise. In a similar way to Tony Khan, right?
Who
of course,
doesn't?
everyone doesn't. No, but this guy feeds off it. Yes. And he was fed for it for the first however many years of his career.
Everybody was jerking him off constantly.
And
you're the greatest, you're the greatest, you're the greatest.
And then
his
world title
reign. Yes. Went down the shitter. People have been making fun of him. People have been like, my God, why can't he get off the television? Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you. And I mean, again, this is all the shit I said when we talked on Warren's show about MJF, right? The guy is way more fucking talented than what the last year and a half has shown us. Okay? Yep. And the thing getting in the way of his talent is his ego and his inability to truly collaborate with someone and make them look good in the ways that they are good. Not in the ways that MJF is good, right? But in the ways that that person is good. If he had truly worked to Ospreay's strengths, he could have done something probably a lot better and more interesting for Ospreay. If he had truly worked to Garcia's strengths, he might have put that guy over and made him look better than he did. right? Like, I don't think you can work with Jeff Jarrett's strengths, so we're just going to skip that one right there. You know.
Okay, right. Okay, I get that, but he needs this for him. I think.
Oh, he does.
I think he needs this, right? He needs
More
this
than
for
he
his
knows.
ego. But
Yes.
the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if you generally put this guy over and you generally work with this guy. And he has not worked with anybody that can challenge him for a very long time now.
No.
Okay, it's probably since Punk. He had the thing with Moxley, but that didn't go well.
They
so maybe we'll leave that out.
Their tension between Moxley and MJF is not the good tension, right? You talk about like the best wrestling matches are that like that's not good conflict. Those guys should never ever have another program with each other ever again.
We'll just ignore the fact that they were scheduled for one and probably aren't now. But hey,
it still shouldn't happen. I don't know what to tell you.
I don't think it should happen now because I think, look, you have to do this. If you are committing to turning Adam Page, then you have to make that turn work. And what's more important to you, if you're MJF, are you going to protect yourself still? Or are you going to make this babyface? And actually, if you want to go into this thing, you know, with your flavour of ice cream and Moxley's flavour of ice cream, you can fuck him over.
Right.
If, you know, play for your ego.
You could.
You can fuck him over because you guys can be the most interesting bit of this show where we don't have live promos, where we've got things that are repetitive. You know, if MJF comes out of his kind of, you know, trials and his kind of fucking promo structure and he does something different, it will automatically, in this current sense, you know, be the most interesting thing of the show because these guys, and I've always said this, when everyone's asked the question, what's the biggest possible match you can do? And I normally put the disclaimer, not involving Kenny Omega. This is the biggest match you can do, and this is an AEW matchup. But these were two guys. These were the two guys that this company was supposed to be built around from the start. And if you're these two guys and you're looking around and you're seeing everything that's happening, you've seen everything that's going through, and then you're seeing Revolution and you're seeing the main event being John Moxley and Adam Copeland 6 years after this company, you should be looking around and you should be fucking embarrassed.
Yeah.
You should be embarrassed that that's what this company's come to. That we're basically playing 2005 TNA, or 2009 TNA maybe. But that's the point. Like, you should know that you need to step up. You can do this, and you can force your own hand. You know, you will get something out of this. If he makes Adam Page's babyface run, that babyface run tanks off and it changes the company around, it increases his value coming up. And his contract's not too long out.
No, it's not.
So, does he have, you know, the will and the want to do this? And you mentioned like his tweets and he was like that, but actually I think you can play into something which was the one high point for me, and there was only one for me, so sorry guys, of the Will Ospreay MJF stuff, was when he literally said, you know, they loved me before until you turned up. Well, they always loved Hangman more than you. And that insecurity should be the basis of it, because you should have Paige being able to pick that. And I don't want any of the bullshit fucking lines that you use with Jay White, you know, the Google trend bollocks or anything like that. You don't need to do that. You have interesting characters that have barely interacted in the last 5 years but have had mirroring paths and challenges thrown in front of you. You know, Paige will do enough on his side. And the idea that, you know, I think, yeah, MJF's strong and he'll do all these bits and things. I don't think he eats Paige up on a promo. I don't see it.
Of course
and Paige
not.
is winning enough. How many times have we been, this guy's going to eat Paige up. This guy's going to eat Paige up. And then, you know, one of the promos is set a guy off for, you know, well, allegedly.
If he genuinely thought he
career.
would have if he genuinely thought he was going to eat Paige up in a promo, they would have done this feud years ago. Like, they would have done it last year when he was world champion.
No.
You're not wrong, okay? You're not wrong. I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I just am not optimistic about human nature right now. I don't think people are going to do the things that make the most sense. I don't think people are going to go away from their selfish motivation to do something that's for the betterment of them long term. I think it's going to be a selfish short term thing, and it's not like, you know, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the case. And like, I'm not trying to shit on MJF. Okay, like I said, I think the guy's incredibly talented. I completely understand why he's in the place that he's in right now in terms of protecting himself and all sorts of other shit like that. I get it. Okay, like shit happens to people. People's lives are different. It's fucking hard to be in your 20s, and it's fucking hard to be in your 20s and have this kind of fame and attention and all this other stuff, and to have the level of like the confusion and the difficulty from last year and the babyface turn that didn't work out and suddenly like losing the crowd and not knowing what the fuck to do about it. I have so much empathy for that. Performing is so hard. It's so hard. I'm not trying to shit on the guy for that. I just think when you look at both of these characters and the fact that they are both incredibly insecure in their own ways and yet exhibit it totally differently, right? With MJF having that kind of insecurity that it pushes people away, and Hangman, again, I'm talking about the characters, and Hangman having that kind of insecurity that makes people care about him, you have the opportunity to do something fantastic. But like, it's MJF. It's going to devolve into some fucking workers' rights shoot comment. It's going to be like shooty backstage bullshit shit, instead of like actually engaging with like their true character motivations and who they are as people and why MJF is like, I just don't like that guy. That'd be cool. Maybe it will happen.
But that's a challenge.
I am not optimistic.
That's a challenge to him. This is up for him to deliver. If this doesn't work, no one's blaming Paige.
No.
Paige is the guy who sat there with Feud of the Year written everywhere. Best on promos. I'm sure that should hurt him.
With the least amount of with a percentage, 1% of the time that fucking MJF got last year, and Adam Page lapped him on fucking promos. That should embarrass you.
It should. So this should be a challenge to him. If he doesn't see the challenge and he doesn't want to take the challenge and he just wants to do that, then fine. But that's what we'll see. But this is a huge job. I think this is a bigger opportunity for Max than it is for Paige.
I don't disagree with you on that. You can deliver. I don't disagree with you on that.
And you can show off if you want. If you want to do your peacock feathers and everything, you can, because this will be big on business. They'll
have great matches in the ring too. Both of them will.
Yeah, but also in business as well. What has been the trigger point of all their big programs in terms of like the first demo that always shows
the ladies.
Yeah, women, and it's 35 to 49 and you're 34. These guys cover it. Right?
And they like MJF. The girls like MJF too. I don't understand it, but they do.
Well, especially older, the older demo, the 35 to 49. That was the thing that really lifted up the Adam Cole MJF stuff.
Yes. Yes.
And especially when you've got all the sports competition coming up. We got the what's the college basketball thing called? This is why I don't watch college basketball. March Madness.
March Madness.
Thank you. We've got that coming up.
College basketball.
I don't fucking know. Anyway.
I deserved it. The darts thing. I'm still not over it. Okay, go ahead.
Throw me darts line. Fuck's sake. That's the most Yorkshire I've sounded in ages. But anyway, no. So, these guys versus kind of an Adam Copeland and John Moxley, they could absolutely, especially if you open with them, with the lead-in and stuff. If he wants to throw all his kind of figures out there and he wants to do the puffy feather thing, this is the thing that's going to get you it. It's not Jeff Jarrett, it's this. But it means that you have to commit to it, and you have to commit to making this term work for Hangman, and that's going to make you more valuable in the future yourself. And actually, if there's someone that could do with learning, in terms of his future kind of profitability, about his marketing, whatever, how to be a great babyface, sincerity and all the things that he was missing last time.
Yep.
Well, here's a guy you can learn from. Go and fucking learn. Improve yourself. Build on yourself. Stop resting on these morals, these kind of laurels that you've been these laurels that you've been resting on for 3 years now, while you're doing the same thing over and over again. The same thing that we're talking about with Adam Copeland. Do something different.
Don't be like these old fucking guys.
No, take the risk and show it. This is AEW. This is our AEW. This is young guys actually grabbing it by the scruff of the neck, not fucking Scooby-Doo over there. It's like, be different. Show, raise this up. Set the bar yourselves. Chase it. And you're not going to agree on everything. You're not. You're going to be strong-minded characters, and Paige is a strong-minded character as well. Good. You need to be challenged, Max. And the fact that you haven't been challenged has been a detriment to this show. And the fact that Adam Page gets barely any time on this show is also a detriment. There is something else to this. Okay? And it's once you turn Page babyface, you can't do the split wins or any of the other bullshit that Max normally does to protect himself. This guy needs to be going over. And he needs to be going over and be going over. What's the Dark Order thing, stop losing, start winning? Yeah? That's what has to happen here. You have beat this guy, and you have beat him, and you've beat him. This is an Alvarez impression now. And you have beat him, and you have beat him. Like, he has the worst record of any upper mid-card and anyone that's ever main evented an AEW pay-per-view in the last 2.5 years. Like, you cannot continue to beat this guy, and there can't be a ceiling on him when he does. So actually, if that means forcing Tony's hand, with this Moxley stuff, fine. But you be the one to do that. And, if you think this is different ideologies, well, play into that. play into the psychology, play into the different characters, play into the different types of storytelling. You know, the thing he did with Renee backstage this week was a little bit different, and it was the same when he did the thing with Paige last year. You know, I think he can bring out something in him, and I don't think, you know, Paige at this point, he's always, you know, I don't think there's anything much you can do to him now to bother him. I don't think that's going to be an issue. So it's more just, can you do this? And I believe he can. I still have this belief. It might be false. It might be wrong. And we'll find out soon enough, and we can, you know, we'll come back to it. But I think he can.